So what's coming to my mind is the imagery of invisible handcuffs and how so many things that are accessible to us, meaning they're within reach, I can reach for it in my own strength, comes with these invisible handcuffs. Because if you can reach for it in your own strength, you have to sustain it in your own strength. If you can reach for it in your own strength and acquire it in your own strength, then you are responsible for that thing. And in this way, you just become a slave to whatever you were holding. And I see this as being like the way that it's taught to us. This is how you prepare for things. And this is where I believe that mindset, which is very impoverished, it's very slave-oriented, it's a giving orphan spirit. God, I can't believe I just said that. TikTok has infected me for sure. But you know what I mean, okay? And that's not the way that God will give you something. Because he will give you something that you cannot reach for in your own strength. He will give you the things that you're not able to hold in your own strength. And I think this is actually where the freedom is, right? Because the world is full of all these things that you can access. And there are steps to accessing those things, right? And look at it in this way. Because people don't want to die alone. I guess people want to be married or something. It's like a whole thing. People don't want to die alone. Okay, I get it. So you're like, I'm in a singleness season. I'm going to prepare myself for marriage or whatever. And we think that we're going to do something. We're going to practice something and then get that result at the end of it. And then that marriage is going to be that of freedom and everything that we've imagined it to be. But this is where I believe God's way is higher than our way, because we come from this place where we don't know what it's not like to feel like our value comes from our work ethic. Our value comes from what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, right? I have to be able to hold this. I have to be able to stay pure. I have to be able to practice purity and practice all of these things so that when I'm in marriage, whenever it's game time, I don't mess up, right? I'll have enough self-discipline, self-control that because I practice so much in singleness, now when I am married, then I will be able to perform well. And I think this is our idea of things, right? And then we were confronted with God's way, which is higher than our way, which is this: no, I desire to give you things where you are free. This is why the process, the preparation of actually you receiving what I have for you involves you seeing that I hold everything and that you can't hold what I hold. And I give you desires, new desires that long for, right? To be able to acquire something that you can't acquire in your own strength. And so the preparation season, the waiting season, the season of singleness, just in this aspect of relationships and marriage or whatever, is not actually you being able to prepare yourself for anything. And that's where you will experience the death. But in the death, you will have new life. The death to this old mindset that was enslaved. That was, I have to practice this. Practice makes perfect. But God's like, there will be no freedom in this future marriage, this idea of marriage that you have, because you're looking to yourself in singleness, in your self-discipline and your self-effort and these things. You're looking to yourself now to provide, sustain for you in the future. But this is not how it works. This would not be a good gift for you. But to unlearn that way of thinking comes with the exposure that way of thinking is actually impoverished. It comes with this exposure of our blindness. It comes with this exposure that we've been deceived to believe that this is normal, to be slaves, to work for ourselves, to look to our own disciplines and such to get things that can actually make us free. It's like you're not going to be free because you've practiced all this slavery. You've been practicing all of this slavery stuff in singleness, and so when you are married, you're just going to rely on what you were practicing in singleness, which is not going to be freedom for you, so you won't be able to actually enjoy it. And I think this is where God sees where we're coming from. He knows the desires of our heart, And this is why it may take longer to produce what God actually wants to produce in your life, because there has to be a dismantling of an old wineskin. There has to be a dismantling of an old mindset, right? Because you were taught that you must acquire it in your own strength, and God is going to help you. But if you acquire it in your own strength, you have to sustain it in your own strength, right? And so whatever we are asking God for, we cannot get for ourselves. But that's, I think, where we are coming from. And that's where he meets us. And that's where our way is not his way. And so we become confused when we are waiting for something. We are waiting for God to come through for us, and we're experiencing such a agonizing death. We're experiencing such the opposite of what we've been asking God for. And I'm like, well, he is preparing you. He is making way. He is demolishing the things that you have been taught about what your life is supposed to be like, how you're supposed to be like, and how you're supposed to operate. Because I think if we're honest, most of us are taught to be really good managers of ourselves. And the idea of a glimmering, beautiful future for us in a marriage or not is us being able to manage well. Us being able to be self-disciplined and have self-control and be steady and stable in that way. But that is just still, all the pressure is on you to be self-disciplined, to have self-control. And since you practice so much of it in singleness, since you practice it so much in this preparation, transitionary season, then you think that, and I think that if God wasn't to confront that, that's the way in which we would go, right? And we would practice something with the purpose of becoming more effective, but we become more effective at self-management. And so the hope in the future that is actually ours, if we were to have the same mindset and not be confronted by God saying, my way is higher than yours. If we were to continue in the way that we were going, then our hope in our future would look like the reality of like what we have hoped for would just be, we are better self-managers. We are better at self-control and self-discipline, but you will find limited freedom there. And this is where God, I feel like, meets us in that place where he knows we desire freedom. We desire to be able to be with him and enjoy him and to know him. And the blessings in which he gives us is an extension of his heart, right? This is what he knows about himself that we don't know, that we don't automatically just know. And so he's like, my ways are higher than your ways. This preparation season is not self-preparation. It is the death of self-preparation. It is the death of relying upon your self-discipline and your self-control and the ways in which you think that you're supposed to prepare yourself to get to where I'm taking you. No, this is why you're led into the valley and shown your weakness. But in this place, you are shown that God is sovereign, that God is in control, and that God holds everything together. And it will probably be in some way or another, this is what brings a death to you, the places that you can't hold anything or get yourself to anything that God has given you a desire to have. It's like the best that I had before God invaded my life was to be the best self-manager and to be stable in how well I managed myself. And if I can manage myself well, then I can manage this marriage well. And if I can manage that well, maybe I can manage a business well. We don't know how to think any other way than this. It seems to be that impoverished way, right? Which took the Israelites or whatever. They had to go into a wilderness season for what they learned before. They had to unlearn so that they can get to the promised land and not just manage more effectively. Right? There's not going to be any freedom in that. There's going to be more or less limited freedom in that. And so what you can acquire, and this seems to be very accessible for people and it doesn't require any faith. I'm going to work where I'm at to get what I want. Right? But prayer doesn't really work that way. And I believe that God will awaken you and show you that you are so much more valuable, which then is going to increase what you're praying for. Then you're going to receive a desire to have and to be in, to enjoy that of which you can't hold or acquire in your own strength. So the death to everything before. The actual preparation to receive something is the death to self-preparation. He's so bonkers like that.